Hi, everybody. This is Celeste Duckworth, and Xiomaro is with me. We are talking about today about how to save some money on flights to Ireland. And as you know, we're part of Creative Arts Retreats. We're doing a retreat May the 29th through June the 9th in Tullamore, Ireland, which is Chandler, Arizona's sister city. And so we're going to do a little bit about flights to kind of help everyone just kind of not be so intimidated by a lot of the cost. Okay.
That's going to
Don't
help
go to,
me a lot
don't,
too, by the way. I'm going to be
okay.
watching this Zoom to learn
Okay.
for myself because
Right.
I used to do a lot of travel,
Right.
but it was always taken care of by somebody else.
Right.
And so I never
Right.
had to do it myself. And also, I'm old enough where when I did do a lot of travel, it was pre-internet. So I know there's a lot of hacks and tips. And so I'm looking forward to hearing from you how to do some of that.
Well, I learned how to do this. My first trip to Ireland, I I procrastinated to like 2 days before.
Just
And
like I did last year.
right. So,
Wasn't quite that
and
bad, but I
yeah,
noticed that I waited too long and I had a lot of limitations as far
well,
as when I can leave and what
that's true.
airport I can get out of, right?
That's very true. I had after all the garage sales and stuff to raise money to go, I
Mm-hmm.
was like, I'm not gonna make it. But actually I was online like about 11 o'clock one night and I was using kayak.com and I actually got a round trip flight for $545.
Wow, it's really
Now
good
I'll
for
tell
that late in the game.
yeah, so now I'm gonna tell you, I've never paid over $750 for a ticket to Ireland, round trip. Never.
Mm.
And usually I've gotten a flight on American Airlines, okay, when I went. And it, economy, but it was okay. I think the most crowded flight I was on was the one last year. But normally I wasn't on really crowded flights like that. That was completely booked.
Mm.
So for everyone, so a lot of these sites they'll tell you they're hacker sites, but they're legit in the sense you do have to be careful. So I'm gonna say the ones that I'm gonna show you are pretty legit. Um, Airlines as well as hotels now, they will have a certain amount of bookings on several sites because they're trying to fill the plane up, whatever. So when you see something, you're like, oh my God, is that for real? Yeah, a lot of times it's for real. Okay.
Mm.
So one of the things I want to say when you're looking for a flight, be mindful that now, especially for our trip, you need to leave on an late afternoon flight to be able to be in Dublin by at least 11 o'clock in the morning the next day. That way you'll be able to catch the bus with us to
Mm.
Tullamore. If you can't get that type of a flight, then let me know and I'll just make sure you know how to get there by train without a lot of confusion. The other thing is that they say Sundays are the best time to book flights. Um, I don't know. It's never made a difference to me. Okay. Uh, they're saying flying on Tuesday and Wednesday. We're not going to get that one
Mm.
because of the day the trip is on. Okay, so that's the best I can tell you. The other thing I could tell you is as far as baggage, some of these allow you to check a bag, some don't. Some just want you to have a carry-all. Um, I did that carry-all last year on American Airlines, and I'll say for women, it did not work for me. So as much as I try to make that bag,
Mm.
as simple as I could, when I got to Ireland, I forgot so many things, that I really wanted. So that's the one thing I want to tell you. If you have take medication, make sure you bring your prescription with it. Because if it gets checked going through TSA or even through customs in Ireland, you need to be able to show what that is. Okay. I haven't had that problem, but they do tell you to make sure you do that when you're traveling.
That's a good idea. I would not have thought about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so let me get into this. So I'm gonna tell you some of the best places to fly out of when it comes to cost are Dallas, Texas, Los Angeles, Chicago, New York, Raleigh, Durham, and North Carolina, not Atlanta. But, and the reason I say that is you usually can get cheaper flights if you live in those areas, especially if it's an Aer Lingus hub. You'll always get a cheap flight on Aer Lingus, okay? And you can get some cheap flights on American Airlines too. I would say as a last resort, or if you're just sitting around, just don't mind, you can sometime go on the actual airline website and find some good prices as well, okay? So it just depends on, I go to the hack stuff first, and then I, kind of go back around. The other thing I would say is don't look for flights unless you have your money ready to pay for a flight. The reason I say that is because you might get a super great price, everything you want. You don't have the money for it. And I'm telling you, the flights change every day, okay? Most of these sites have what they call as a fare checker. And if you get on one like Kayak, it will send you in your email when they have low fares, okay? And like I said, be ready to pay for that ticket, if you do that. So
that's very true because I had the money, but I wasn't sure. I was indecisive about the date.
Yeah.
And I didn't know better. I figured I'll be there tomorrow. And if something within 20 minutes, it was gone.
Right.
Yeah.
They have it was kind of weird when the group that left before I did, they left a day before I did. Like I said, I procrastinated. So I wasn't on the flight with my group, but it was kind of interesting when I booked my flight, I ended up on the flight back with my group, which was pretty cool. So time wise, make sure you want to get a later afternoon flight so you can get into Ireland the next morning. Okay. Make sure you look at those things. Another thing is that some of these cheaper flights are 2 stops. Okay. So Chicago's a great place to do a layover. If you have to do one, it's always very short. New York's are short layovers, no more than 2 hours. Atlanta's at 8 hours. If you go Delta, I'm just letting you know, Atlanta is usually like 8 hours. Okay. So you got to really plan that trip. Really pay attention and read when you go through these. So they say what they say. Nonstop, you pretty much are going to, you can pretty much can find that. So your fares are not going to be any cheaper than $550 round trip, up to what I'm seeing is about $1,100 round trip, but you can find some decent fares in between that. So it's just all, like I said, it's depending on when you go, when you're checking. And I would say if you have the money, just check every so often. The price doesn't change once you purchase the ticket. Okay, so I only found that prices change when I was doing group trips and I used to get all the tickets. I used to go do a group ticket through the airlines and we would get a really good price. But sometimes what would happen is that they would have a tax hike, fuel tax hike. And if they had a fuel tax hike, sometime we had to kick in an extra $100 for everybody. And that was the only issue we had there. So I'm encouraging also is please read the fine print on these sites. A lot of them don't offer flight insurance. I know booking.com did, and we were fine with that. But please read the fine print. A lot of them do have refunds. A lot of them don't have refunds. And you have to remember that it's always going to depend on the airline. Okay. And then the last thing I want to say before I start showing you some is that JetBlue goes to Ireland. KLM, what was the other one? JetBlue.
American Airlines?
Spirit does
Spirit.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you, they have a 40% messed up rate as far as things like canceling and not getting you on your flight on time. So I'm just going to say, no matter how cheap they are, avoid it. Okay. Because reading a lot of the, what I do is I will read a lot of the reviews from people. I don't just go on here and look. I read through as much as I can. And I get that from everybody, that those are the airlines that you just don't want to You know, you don't want to deal with. Same thing with Frontier. Frontier is fine here in the US. I like it sometimes if I want to just do a cheap flight, but not for part of an overseas flight.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I would say about that. That's just my experience.
Where's a good place to look for comments from folks? I've tried Expedia before.
You know what? I looked at Kayak when I was looking at comments, you know, and then I actually did some things like Forbes is really pretty good. You can go on Forbes and say, hey, you know, what are the reviews for, you know, hack sites, airplane hack sites or whatever, and they'll give you a great, you know, a great list of reviews. Usually, just because I see one or two complaints, that doesn't make me knock it out. I have to see more than one or two to let me know, yeah, we're not going to do that. And I read through the negative complaints too to see what the issue is, because sometimes I just get that vibe. There just was an unhappy person that day. Okay.
Right.
So you have to kind of just, you know, kind of go with that. But I will say, man, I've been going to Ireland since 2003. I just haven't had a bad flight, you know, and I haven't had a bad time through customs. I will say this: do not bring anything, even if you think it's okay here in the US, do not bring anything that you're not sure about overseas. Okay. So, because you will be going through customs, and you don't want to get stopped. And customs does do they do in Ireland, they do a, like a internet, not an internet check, but like they're, I'm trying to think of the police thing there. They do a check worldwide. Yeah, before they let you in, before they go through. Okay. So they'll do a check on you. So just be aware of that they will do that. So, but otherwise it's pretty painless. Pretty painless. So I just want to show you a few things. I'm going to share my screen for a minute, and I want to show you a few things when I was looking at flights. Okay.
Yeah, let's take a look.
I gotta find what you call it. Let's see if that's it. No, that's not it. There it is. Okay, here we go. Can you see it okay, Seal?
Yep, I'm just going to pinch on my phone so it's a little bit larger. Yep, I see it.
Okay. So I did this check today, and I want to tell you that I kind of, the ones I'm going to show you, I kind of just did different starting points to Dublin. That way you can kind of get an idea, you know, of, I don't know why it's really kind of high to come from Phoenix to Dublin. But I will say if it's like a $40 ticket to go somewhere near a hub close to you, I would pay that. Okay, just to be able to get that cheaper ticket. So I'm just saying,
Got it.
as long as it's not a hassle. So this one, the least expensive was this one for $778. But like I said, you have to make sure it's leaving at 8:15 at night, which means it's not going to get in Dublin until 2:30 in the afternoon. This one here that's on American Airlines leaves at 1:20, and that's why I said you want to take a late afternoon flight, like about 1:20, something like that. You're going to get into Dublin about 11:15. The flight I have from Dallas left at 4:30, and we were in Dublin about 10. It was kind of, you know, kind of weird. And then you see that it goes up to 800 round trip. This one is on Delta. And if you like a certain airlines, I would, you know, still go for that. This is British Airways. So just to give you some idea, I did fly on British Airways. I was just saying, I did fly on British Airways, but I will say this: British Airways usually goes into Heathrow in the UK before it comes over to Dublin. And I would suggest that, and usually it's a little bit cheaper, but I would suggest do a straight into Dublin. Do a straight into Dublin. So this is Priceline. Now, Priceline used to have that name your own price. And I don't know if they still do. I know I used to use it all the time, but now I don't see it. It used to be like when you get the fare, it would tell you name your own price, but I guess they stopped that. The one that I really favor is this one. This is Kayak. Right now, the fares I got on Kayak were still about $1,200. You can see these. And Kayak will do a comparison of other hack sites to see if you can get a cheaper deal. Now, I do have a price alert on Kayak, and I have had some come through that were 600 round trip, 700 round trip. And a lot of times I think it's because, and this is a good reason why you want a tracker. Sometimes flights change early morning or they change late at night. Okay. So if you're not going to be sitting up late at night or you're not going to be getting up early morning and check it, you want to track the prices on a price alert. Okay. Then here, where did I have? I had Hotline. Had a lot of luck with Hotline, but Hotline is the one that you need to be careful, read the fine print. If you need to get insurance, get insurance. But they give you some really good pricing. Now, I used to use it all the time to just do domestic flights back and forth. And I would always get really good prices with Hotwire. I had to refresh the page. So you see here, they have a nonstop with Delta. And it leaves at 9 at night. It gets into Dublin 9 in the morning, and it's a $558 round trip. Okay. And then it goes into a 800, and like I said, it's almost going to depend on where you're leaving from. It's also going to depend on what airline you like. If you haven't, if you favor one, or let's just say you have more points with one. Okay. What I will say is a lot of these hack sites have what they call the, what do you call them? Where you get a price break, like for using the site. Okay. But usually you have to sign up and you have to sign up and be on that site to get those points or whatever. So, and I, don't be, look, I'm a kind of person, I hate getting all this mail in my mailbox. Like, I hate it, but I'm like, okay, you're only going to be using this for a few months, so it's okay. Just don't freak out about it. And that's what I'm saying to everyone. Don't freak out about, oh, I'm going to get a lot of mail. You might get a really good price break by signing up with one of these, but don't sign it with more than one. I mean, you don't have to. You can just go ahead and check. So those are the couple of ones. And then I did Cheap Flight. Cheap Flight did not give me, they get all the pricing on here was over $1,200. So and Just Fly was the same way. So I will say the ones that I use, Priceline, Kayak, Booking.com, Hotline, I'm gonna add those to the website, but I will say that I've always got decent pricings from those. I didn't have to use a whole lot of the hacks. Okay. Another one that's kind of interesting, I just learned, was Google Search. Google Search, you can search for flights on Google Search. And actually it came back with some really good prices. So that's another one. Like I said, that I'll add these to the website. Any questions so far?
No, it's overwhelmingly good information. In fact, I already know when we're done. Right. I've taken some notes. I'm going to actually look at the entire recording carefully and make some notes.
So I will say that if you see this video and you need some help and you need a little bit more understanding on this, you're welcome to email me. The email is Celeste, CELESTE at creativeartsretreats.com. And I'll try to help you as much as I can, because I know some people are really challenged when it comes to looking at flights. And I'm always like, when I'm talking to people, I'm like, hey, how much you pay for the flight? And they sound like, ooh. You don't never want to go to Ireland though on St. Patrick's Day, because the flights are like $3,000.
Yeah, I would think so. Since our retreat is in May, is there a certain time frame where it might be best to to start looking? I mean, my thinking is probably start now.
I want to say start now, but I also want to say you can still find good flights 2 or 3 months before, right. And I'm gonna tell you, because I'm the procrastinator on some things, I have found flights like a week before, but I don't want people to do that because it's frustrating. I want you to at least start now. And like I said, start, if you have the money or you have a credit card or however, travel card, start looking now so you have your flight booked. Okay.
Right.
It was easier because we had to change a date one time when we had a retreat. It's easier to change the ticket date than it is to not have the ticket and try to get a refund and all that.
Right. Right. I
I'm
mean, what's
going,
good about the retreat is that when I went to Ireland on my own, part of the complication was almost like a Rubik's cube, is that I had to coordinate getting a good flight, reasonable price and all that, and the timing, but also coordinated with hotel availability.
right.
And I waited at the last minute pretty much, and the hotels were solidly booked everywhere. And I was with a companion, so in some cases we couldn't even get a room in the same facility, same hotel. But fortunately, we've taken care of that with the retreat because we have a block of rooms at the 𝗹𝗪𝗃 Hotel. So that element is out. So it's really just about getting the flight.
And, so that's something that I will say is that you want to make sure if you want a single room with us, you got to get into me early. It's a extra deposit. The hotel is working really well with me on trying to make sure all our rooms are booked at the same time. I have already booked for what we considered was the number of people that would, go. But I mean, if things happen, then I can probably book you into a B&B, which is even better close by. I know pretty much all the B&Bs in 𝗹𝗪𝗃. That's close by, but I really would like individuals to their plane flight and their room are the two biggest things to tackle and get.
Right. And we've taken care of one of those things.
Right.
Unless someone wants a single room, but then they should contact us as soon as possible. So we can take care of that.
Because I know that people ask a lot, because Ireland is such a high tourist place and they get these groups all the times. A lot of the hotels just, they're made to have two people in the room, or families. You will find hotels that have family rooms. I chose, I really wanted to get a large B&B for our group, but I chose the hotel this time because I felt it would probably just be easier for people. I mean, ideally for me, I would do a large Airbnb or a regular B&B in Ireland that has a lot of rooms, because then you kind of have a little bit more freedom. But you stand a chance of being too far off the beaten path.
Right.
And then you're paying for transportation back and forth just to get to town. So, that's kind of it. But definitely, I'm going to suggest travel insurance more than I would say flight insurance. And travel insurance is a little bit more expensive, not much, but the reason I say that is because it includes everything: your flight, your hotel. If you get sick, it includes all of that. And to me, that's a better deal. Now, if you're insecure, you're not going to, have any of those issues, then just get the flight insurance, But like I said, regular insurance, travel insurance is your phone, anything you lose, that's what that's for. Okay. So I will be doing another video because some travel insurance I've got great reviews from, they pay fast, some don't. Okay. Some take a lot of time. The other thing that I'll cover in that is I will cover the fact that if you think you want to rent a car while you're in Ireland, I'm gonna let you know for many people that are not from Ireland, if you're not really good at driving on the other side of the road, that deposit when you rent is pretty high for a car. But you are required to get a driver's permit anytime internationally that you're going to drive. You have your regular license and a permit that you get from, you can get at AAA. I'm gonna tell you right now, you can get at AAA. I got one a couple of years ago. It's painless. You can do it online or you can walk in the office and get it, because you'll need to have that in case, whatever, So if you think you might get a car and go somewhere one day, gotta have that. And it's not, I'll check the price and put it on the website, because last time I was $21. So it's not expensive. It's not expensive. So
yeah, I had gotten one myself too many years ago, and it was pretty easy through AAA.
Yeah, it's pretty painless. I tried to get my regular license, but I failed by one question in Ireland.
Ah,
And the question, well, I should have known it. I should have known it.
what does a red light mean? Was it that?
No, it was regarding drugs.
Oh,
I
oh,
should have known that. I started it, my first job was in the transportation industry, and I should have known it,
yeah.
and I just totally bombed that, and I was like,
It happens to the best of us.
yeah, yeah.
But,
So, yeah, that's it on flights, So, like I said, I'm going to put this on the website because I know a lot of you, you want to go through it, and I'll put those on there. But I'll also put the insurance, even though I'm going to do an insurance video. And I'll also list out some of the places where you can walk in and get your passport. Walk in and get your passport. You have to make an appointment in those walk-in places, but you can literally go in, get your passport that day. Okay. And I think it's better than expediting a passport if you need one. Now, so AAA does offer expedite passport if you really want to get it. They kind of range between $200 and $300 to expedite. But I'm like, if I had known better back then, I wouldn't have done that. See, so pretty much I don't procrastinate too much anymore.
Not at $200 to $300 a clip. No,
I know that costs too much money. But yeah, any other questions you have?
no, I think you covered it very well.
Okay.
I would just say that to the extent there's something we didn't cover thoroughly or something was unclear, or there's a follow-up question, of course, folks are always welcome to email you or email me, or they can just post a question on whatever social media platform this ends up on, and
Absolutely.
we're more than happy to respond. Or if anyone out there has suggestions for other topics they want us to cover, we're more than happy to do that. Celeste already mentioned doing one on travel insurance and going deeper into some other topics that we touched on today. But if there's anything else, just let us know and we're happy to cover it.
Now, are you okay with them posting questions on your group?
Yeah, they're welcome to do that. Yeah.
Okay.
Anything they post on my group, I'll just, you'll see it anyway.
Okay.
But I want to make it easy for folks to reach us. There's a lot of methods of communication today. So we check everything and we'll get back to folks that way.
Okay, cool. All right. All right. Well, hold up for a second. Okay, so we're going to end this. And as I said, we're going to make sure you know that you can do questions on our Facebook pages. And I'll be happy to answer as well. If CO misses you, I can, answer them as well. And thank you for allowing us to do the video.
Yep. Thanks, everybody.